Anointed to preach the gospel. During my early years of ministry, the Lord spoke to me in various ways about what I should do and how. I responded positively by saying, "Lord, I'll do it." I kept right on going. I didn't quit. I have been in the will of God since I was 17 years old. I do not remember not being in the will of God. The only way to be out of His will is to be in rebellion to His will. God does not talk directly to people every day. He ministers in your spirit, and He ministers through the Word. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before God said anything to him. If you expect God to talk to you every morning, you are going to miss God by 1,000,000 miles. You would not follow if He did. He would be wasting His time with you. He puts His Spirit within you, and your spirit tells you what to do. There is another time when God used His Word to direct me. I had fasted for 2 weeks without eating a meal and preached twice a day. I found at the end of the fast I had lost very little weight. I even felt stronger physically. I asked God to show me my end and the ministry I must fulfill. As I prayed, it seemed like a storm entered my hotel room. The power of God came upon me. The anointing of the Lord came and spoke to my heart that I would find the answer in Psalm 71:18. Now also when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not, until I have showed thy strength unto this generation, and thy power to every one that is to come. God had promised me that even when old and gray, my ministry would remain the same. I had been anointed to declare, God is not dead. God is a God of miracles, of tremendous power, and a God that does amazing things. I was anointed to pray for the sick and see them healed, to pray with the unsaved so they would be converted. I was anointed by God to reveal His strength to this generation. At that moment, I knew I could not quit. I must keep the faith and impart it to others. After 18 months of preaching in only countryside places like schoolhouses and brush arbors, I went to Dyersburg, Tennessee, where my brother pastored a church. I was having a meeting out in the countryside, as usual, when I had another opportunity to quit. My brother, who was a kind of big-shot pastor, and seeing that I was preaching out in the country, didn't want to come out to hear me. What did he do? He sent his wife. He told her, "Go out there and see if Lester can preach." So she came out to hear me preach. She was a preacher herself, so she knew a little about it. After the meeting, when both of us had returned, I could hear them talking in the room next to me. My brother said, "Baby doll," that is what he called her. How did he do? Coming good and strong through the fresh air register were these words. Bud, that is what she called him. Lester wouldn't make it in 1,000 years. He said, "Hum," and I heard it. I thought, 1,000 years? I can't preach 1,000 years before making it. I began to weep, to cry before God. I said, "God, I have had such a difficult time. Maybe it's time to quit now. Maybe it's time to quit." The Lord said no. And while I lay on the floor weeping before God, crying and hurting all over, God said, "Will you read Luke 4, verse 18? I didn't know what that verse said, so I opened my Bible and read. It said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised." I said, "Lord, do you mean that?" He said, "Yes, I do. My Spirit is upon you. When people meet you, they are going to know that you have my Spirit." "My Spirit is on you." I said, "Really?" "Yes. You are not always going to be out here in country schoolhouses. You are in training now. My Spirit is upon you, and I have anointed you." Isn't that amazing? The word anointing has a lot to do with the word ordination, or setting apart. "I have anointed you to preach the gospel to the poor," He said. I asked, "Just poor folks?" He said, "No, those who don't know me are poor. You can be a millionaire, but if you don't know me, then you are poor in spirit. All the heathen are poor in spirit because they don't know me. They are poor spiritually. I'm going to anoint you to preach the gospel to people who have never heard of me before, to people who don't know me now, to people who are down and out, and to people who have no friends. I'm going to let you preach the gospel to those who are poor in spirit and who have nothing in their souls." God also showed me that I would be sent to heal the brokenhearted. It touched me very deeply that my ministry would be one of healing. I would be used to heal broken hearts, spirits, and minds. There are many people who have been crushed, who feel cast away and are disappointed. and God was sending me to restore their joy. God said, I am going to send you to heal the brokenhearted. And God has helped me to heal tens of thousands of brokenhearted people. I also was being sent to preach deliverance to the captives, to those captive to alcohol, drugs, perverted sex, and anything that brings bondage. Millions of people desperately need deliverance. But how can they hear without a preacher? They will never be set free unless the good news is preached and deliverance is emphasized. Because I didn't quit, many people have been delivered from the oppressions of sin. Through Luke 4:18, I knew that I was to bring recovery of sight to the blind. You may say, I do not believe in miracles. I do not believe in the power of God. I do not believe Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, that these great things ended with the apostles. God was sending me to you so that you can see the delivering power and anointing of God. He wants to open the eyes of the spiritually blind. Lastly, I was told to bring liberty to those who are bruised. There are many hurt people. It may be that some even taught Sunday school, were deacons, or sang in the choir, but somehow they were bruised by other people. They have decided that they cannot do God's work anymore. They need to have their chains removed. They need to be set free through the power of Jesus. Because I didn't quit, ministries have been restored through the work of God in my life. Now, you can't imagine how hurt I was to hear those things said by my sister-in-law. Maybe I wasn't a great preacher at the time, I don't know. She had been preaching at least 12 years, and I had been preaching for just over 1 year. There was a difference in experience, but she concluded that I wouldn't make it in 1,000 years. I was at the bottom of the ladder, but I didn't quit. I just didn't quit. I said, all right, Lord, I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep on. At that moment, I knew I could not quit. I must keep the faith and impart it to others. Commentary on Anointed to Preach the Gospel. Here are my carry-home lessons from this message. Number 1, responding positively to God's calling is crucial. Being committed to the path He lays out can lead to fulfillment and purpose in life. Number 2, challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but the determination to keep going, even when faced with discouragement, is vital. Quitting is not an option for those who seek to fulfill their calling. Number 3, regular prayer and seeking God's guidance, especially in difficult times, can provide clarity and strength. It is in these moments that one can receive assurance and direction. Number 4, the concept of being anointed means being set apart for a specific purpose. Recognizing that one is called to serve others, especially those in need, can empower individuals to embrace their mission. Number 5, acknowledging that one's ministry can be a source of healing and liberation for others is essential. Many people are in need of emotional and spiritual restoration, and being a vessel for that can be profoundly impactful. Number 6, encountering criticism, especially from those close to us, can be deeply hurtful. However, using that pain as motivation to improve and persist can lead to greater strength and resilience. Number 7, keeping the focus on the mission, sharing the gospel, healing the brokenhearted, and bringing hope to the lost can provide purpose during difficult times. It's about the impact one can have on others' lives. Number 8, true wealth is found in spiritual fulfillment rather than material possessions. Helping those who are spiritually poor is a crucial aspect of ministry. Number 9, the commitment to serve others and share God's love should be lifelong. The journey may evolve, but the mission remains constant. And number 10, recognizing that God's Spirit empowers and guides can provide the courage needed to continue, even when faced with obstacles.